Hello everyone. In this class, we are going to discuss about the tourism industry. Tourism is a dynamic, multidimensional industry contributing to economic development, cultural exchange, and environmental awareness, requiring sustainable management to balance growth and conservation. Defining the parameters of temporary movement. Movement, travel outside the usual environment, plus stay, temporary residence at a destination, plus purpose. Non-remunerative, encompassing leisure, business, or other motives. Okay, activities of persons traveling and staying in places outside their usual environment for not more than one consecutive year is known as tourism. Okay, according to UNWTO. 0 days to 365 days. Okay, it may be 0 days to 365 days, not more than one consecutive year. Okay, key insights: invisible export. Tourism generates foreign exchange earnings without physically shipping a product across borders. The anatomy of a destination relies on 5 interdependent elements: attractions, the core pool; natural, cultural, or historical assets, example the Taj Mahal; accessibility, the conduit, transport infrastructure bringing the generating region to the destination; accommodation, the anchor, temporary residences including hotels, resorts, and homestays; amenities, the baseline, essential support services including water, electricity, and sanitation; activities, the engagement, recreational and experiential offerings that occupy the traveler's time. Leiper system model maps the push and pull of the tourism engine. There is a tourist flow depend upon push and pull factors. This is the generating regions, that means origin regions, and this is the destination regions. The origin point where the desire to travel originates and where the economic capital is sourced. On the other hand, destination region, the receiving environment that provides the 5 A's and captures the economic spend. Okay, the geographic and instructional space traversed to reach the destination, and there are some economic value and capital return procedures in this tourism process. Okay, tourism is defined by continuous flow and interaction between these 3 spatial elements. Input factors dictate the specific forms of tourism generated. Input 1, physical factors like climate, landscapes, for example mountains and beaches, and biodiversity. Input 2, human factors, culture, heritage, infrastructure, safety, and political stability. Input 3, economic factors, income levels, currency exchange rates, and cost of travel. Now, catalyst integration and leads to leisure and cultural tourism, business tourism, MICE, that means meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, eco-adventure tourism, medical and educational tourism. Categorized further into domestic, inbound, foreign entrance, and outbound, that is residence living. Capital injection creates expanding ripples throughout the regional economy. Ring 1, direct impact, immediate capture of tourist spending, labor-intensive frontline sectors including hotels, transport, and attractions. Ring 2, indirect impact, secondary economic stimulation, businesses to business spending by fourth-line services on local supplies, for example purchasing regional food, commissioning handicrafts. Ring 3, induced impact, tertiary economic expansion, increased household spending by local employees whose incomes are supported by direct and indirect tourism activities. Strategic outcome is high multiplier effects drive foundational regional development as seen in highly tourism dependent GDPs like the Maldives. The impact matrix reveals the duality of destination development: positive and enhancing impacts and negative and degrading impacts. Economic domain, positive impacts are employment generation, foreign exchange earnings, infrastructure growth, and negative impacts of tourism industry, economic domain, tourism leakage, revenue leaving and the host country, and high vulnerability to seasonality. Then sociocultural domain, positive impact, cross-cultural exchange, preservation of historical heritage, revival of traditional arts. And negative impacts: cultural commodification, loss of local authenticity, social friction between residents and visitors. Environmental domain: funding for conservation awareness, expansion of ecotourism sanctuaries. And negative: localized pollution, targeted deforestation, and resource depletion. Okay, these are some advantages and disadvantages of tourism industry in terms of economic, socio-cultural, and environmental perspective. Butler's TALC model predicts the evolutionary trajectory of a destination. XE for exploration, involvement, development, consolidation, stagnation, rejuvenation, and decline. Exploration: few adventurous tourists, no dedicated facilities. Then involvement: local residents began providing rudimentary amenities. Then development: rapid growth, external investment, and destination branding emerge. Consolidation: growth rate slows. Tourism dominates the local economy. Stagnation: peak capacity reached, the destination loses its original novelty. And A, rejuvenation: strategic pivot, new infrastructure or repositioning initiates to a new growth cycle. Or B, decline: failure to innovate leads to losing market share to newer destination. Okay, stagnation is a critical intervention point. This line shows a time period and number of tourists. Exceeding carrying capacity triggers systematic destination failure. Okay, the maximum number of tourists a destination can support without triggering environmental or experimental degradation. Okay, this is known as exceeding carrying capacity. The maximum number of tourists a destination can support without triggering environmental or experimental degradation. Physical capacity: the absolute spatial limit has all breached when literal space, transport networks, and physical infrastructure cannot absorb more bodies. Ecological capacity: the biological limit threshold breached, the natural regeneration is outpaced by pollution, biodiversity loss, and resource consumption. Social capacity: the tolerance limit threshold breached when local residents experience severe disruption, leading to hostility towards visitors. Economic capacity: the dependency limit threshold breached when traditional local industries are entirely crowded out by tourism monopolies. The sustainability equilibrium engineers intergenerational equity. Defined by the United Nations Environmental Programme (UNEP) and the United Nations World Tourism Organization (UNWTO), environmental conservation operating within ecological carrying capacities, minimizing pollution, and actively funding biodiversity protection. Then cultural preservation, respecting the socio-cultural authenticity of host communities and conserving built heritage and preventing commodification. Economic viability, ensuring viable long-term economic operations that provide fair socio-economic benefits and stable employment to host communities. Okay, these are some mitigational measures to reduce the disadvantage of tourism industry and gain the intergenerational equity or sustainable equilibrium in tourism industry. The goal: balancing growth and conservation to ensure the destination remains viable for future generations. Okay, future generations viable for future generations. That means sustainable tourism management. India leverages extreme diversity through targeted state initiatives. The baseline potential: India possesses uniquely rich cultural and natural diversity, offering immense, largely untapped potential for both heritage and ecotourism. Ministry of Tourism: Incredible India campaign, the overarching destination branding and global marketing engine designed to stimulate inbound international tourism. A Swadesh Darshan scheme, a structural intervention aimed at developing theme-based tourist circuits, integrating physical and human factors to boost domestic flows. And Prasad scheme. Prasad means pilgrimage, rejuvenation, and spiritual heritage augmentation drive, and it focused specifically on updating the amenities and accessibility around major religious tourism nodes in India. Emerging actors are actively rewiring the traditional tourism systems. Digital tourism: the total digitization of the transit and accommodation phases through online booking platforms, example Make My Trip and virtual destination previews. Sustainable and responsible tourism is shift from needs to necessity, prioritizing eco-conscious travel footprints and low leakage local spending. Wellness tourism: travel specifically engineered for physical, mental, and spiritual rejuvenation, moving beyond traditional leisure. Community-based rural tourism: decentralizing the tourist footprint by embedding travelers directly without authentic non-urban host communities. and dark tourism, the complex sociocultural phenomenon of traveling to places historically associated with death, tragedy, or the macabre. Digital tourism, wellness tourism, community-based well tourism, and dark tourism, and sustainable responsible tourism. Okay, these are some new emergence of traditional tourism system. The strategic playbook master synthesis matrix core concept, the 5 A's: attraction, accessibility, accommodation, amenities, and activities. And core mechanics is the required anatomy for a variable destination region. Laper system model generating regions, transit routes, and destinations, the physical and economic flow of the tourism engine. Butler's TALC model, exploration to stagnation, forking into decline or rejuvenation. The predictive life cycle curve of destination growth. Tourism multiplier, direct to indirect and induced. The expanding economic ripples of a single tourist expenditure. Carrying capacity, physical, ecological, social, and economic. The absolute threshold before over-tourism degradation occurs. Sustainable tourism, according to UNEP and UNWTO. Environmental, economic, cultural balance. The pursuit of intergenerational equity. Okay, that's all for today. If you have any doubt and query, just let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Thank you.